Hey YouTube, it's Mitchell Z. I'm back with another video. This time I am celebrating my 5th natural hair anniversary. So my hair is 5 years old today. May 3rd is when I officially did my big chop. And once I was done with that, I only had about 3 inches of hair stretched. When it was stretched, it was 3 inches. When it shrunk up, it was smaller. And I'm very excited. It has been 5 years. It does not feel like it's been 5 years. There are some expectations that I had in the beginning that I'm going to kind of go over some things here with you guys as far as where I thought I would be by this point in time. I wanted to share things like that with you, and also some tips for transitioners and for people who are newly natural. I've got some tips for you, so keep watching if you want to hear more. Okay, so like I said, I'm 5 years natural, and you can see my hair length is not like all down to my waist. So what I wanted to share with you are some of the myths and some of the truths that I found throughout my hair journey. I think going into going natural, I had certain ideas based on what I found on the internet and in videos, and watching other people's hair journeys through pictures and blogs and things like that. One of the things I did feel like in 5 years' time, I was going to have this long, luscious mane of hair. That is true for some. All of our rates of growth are all different as far as, you know, your metabolism, your background. And then too, I also found that depending on how you style your hair, you're either going to see that retention in length or you're not. I tend to be one of those people. I change my hair a lot. I style my hair a lot. Each week I wash my hair and I'll do something new. So for me, there's a lot of combing, there's a lot of styling. I've used heat throughout my journey. When I'm trimming off an inch here or there, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting rid of some of that wear and tear that shows up in my ends. And that just comes with the territory, I guess. If you decide that you're going to wear your hair out, you're going to wear your hair down and style more often, that's just one of those things. You may possibly not retain length as much as someone who keeps their hair hidden, who wears protective styles 24/7. You know, it's going to be a completely different ball game. I'm really happy with where my hair is. I didn't think that I would be happy with it at this length, but it actually is a really good length for me personally. I'm having a lot of fun with it. That whole waist length thing, I don't know if that's for me. That's a lot of hair. Another hair myth is the curly to straight. Yes, it is possible to go from curly to straight and back to curly, but that all depends on all of the maintenance that comes along with using heat. After using heat, you may have to use things like protein treatments and all of that. So I think in the very beginning, when I first went natural, I singed my hair. I gave myself, you know, heat damage right off the bat because I wasn't really aware that, you know, heat protectant has to be used every single time. There is no exception, and that it's possible you may have to do more care. You may have to do more deep conditioning. Your hair may need protein and hot oil treatments. There may be things that your hair needs extra because you've decided to use heat. And it could just be blow drying. It could be stretched hair where you did a curling wand. That kind of will set you up for heat damage. You may not feel like it's heat damage to the point where your curl pattern was altered, but you may notice a little bit of dryness after using heat and things like that. I kind of found out that going back and forth from curly to straight is actually not doable. And I started finding that out around the same time as Taryn916 on her channel. It was like we were having that in common. Like, she felt like she finally had it down, and I did too. I had my routine down as far as straightening my hair, deep conditioning and all that, but then you would still have these hiccups where you would find loose curls and go, okay, something's happening here. So what I have found is that every time I straighten my hair more often, that leads to loose curls. I still have curls and shrinkage, but it leads to looser curls on the ends, and that usually leads to a trim. And this time may not be any exception. I may wait until August to trim it, but in the back of my mind, I'm going to kind of know that, okay, I used heat pretty frequently in April and May, and so in August I'm going to be trimming. That's one myth that I wish I knew a little bit more about. It's not like you can just go curly to straight, back and forth. It's probably more like curly, 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 straight, curly, 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 straight. More like that. Another thing that is a myth, in my opinion, is that heat damage will break off. I personally have, like I said, caused heat damage to my own hair to where it hung completely straight. It looked like relaxed hair that was growing out, and that hair did not break off. It never broke off. I have always been one to deep condition my hair one time each week, and that has been ever since, you know, my transitioning days. And that hair still stayed strong. It was not like it was crispity, crunchity hair that was just, you know, about to break off. It was still hair that grew. I retained length. It didn't have split ends. It was just straight. It did not curl up like the rest of the hair. So I went ahead and grew it out. It was like past my chin, and so it was half curly, half straight, and then I went ahead and trimmed it off and gave myself bangs. I would say that it is possible that if you have heat damaged hair, to just continue to keep that length, because maybe you liked having the length because you can pull your hair back still. You know, once you chop it, it's going to be this little puff wherever you chop that piece off, and you may want to hang on to it for whatever reason. Heat damage does not necessarily equate to breakage. So now some natural hair truths. Natural hair definitely is very versatile. I have tried so many different styles. I can't even imagine being relaxed at this point. It just almost feels like relaxed hair for the amount of work that went into it as far as processing your hair and straightening and blow drying, you know, and keeping it the straight look. I pretty much wore my hair the same all the time. Like, even after I would relax my hair, nobody noticed because it just looked the same all the time. But with this, you know, I wear it curly, I wear it straight, I do twist outs, braid outs, updos. I mean, I never used to do updos when my hair was relaxed. I probably could have, but I just feel like there's so many different things to do with natural hair as far as styling. So that definitely is true. Another thing that I feel is true is the hair growth. Right off the bat, when I went natural, I think it was about the 3rd month of my natural hair journey where I just realized that my hair was already starting to grow out of the TWA phase. Now, I transitioned for 9 whole months before doing the big chop. So by then, it was nearly a year's worth of growth. You know, I did the big chop in May. By November, I was able to blow my hair out and pin it up, and it was like the TWA was gone. Like, it went really fast. So I never experienced that type of length retention when I was relaxed. It's possible that has a lot to do with a lot of the things that I just wasn't doing to care for my hair when it was relaxed. So I'm not blaming the relaxer, but my hair just right off the bat during those beginning stages where I still wasn't exactly sure what I was doing, which products worked for me, my hair just grew and I retained the length, no problem. The other regret though is kind of like a positive thing.